It's 3 a.m. The world is asleep, but you're not. You're awake, not by accident, but by purpose. In this moment, the noise fades and your soul begins to speak. This is not just late-night restlessness. This is your awakening. If you've ever found yourself awake in the silence, questioning everything, this video is for you. Because what happens in the dark shapes what shines in the light. Before we dive deep, make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any content that challenges, transforms, and fuels your growth. Let's begin. Section 1. The silent battle begins. It's not just a random hour. It's 3 a.m., and the world is draped in stillness. Streetlights flicker like sentinels over empty avenues, and the hum of the city has faded into a quiet so pure it feels sacred. While most lie in their beds surrendered to dreams, you're wide awake, not out of habit, not out of insomnia, but because something inside you refuses to rest. This is not just a sleepless night. This is a reckoning, a confrontation between who you are and who you're supposed to become. It's the hour where the mask slips, the noise fades, and all that remains is the truth you've been avoiding. You feel it, a restlessness buried beneath your ribs, like a storm trying to break free. It's not anxiety, it's awakening. Something inside you is screaming, "This isn't enough, I'm not enough, but I could be." This hour isn't about time, it's about transformation. The same way Guts from Berserk wields his sword against darkness not just in the world, but inside himself. You stand here battling a war the world can't see. Every thought is a blade, every silence a mirror. You are not here by accident. You're here because a part of you is still fighting, for clarity, for meaning, for more. There's something sacred about being awake when the world sleeps. It's a quiet rebellion, not against the world, but against everything in you that has settled. The part of you that compromised, that gave in, that silenced your dreams for the sake of survival. But not tonight. Tonight you're staring your excuses in the face, and for the first time in a long time, you're not backing down. You are peeling away the layers of comfort and delusion. You are daring to ask, is this really the life I want? Make no mistake, this moment matters. Legends aren't made in bright arenas or loud crowds. They're born in silence, in solitude, in 3 a.m. showdowns with the self. When Izuku Midoriya sat alone, notebook in hand, dreaming of becoming a hero with no powers to his name, he wasn't delusional. He was preparing. And so are you. This is your prep time, your underground training arc. While the world sleeps, you sharpen your will. Because in this silence, something incredible is happening. The weak version of you is being left behind. Section 2. The mirror in the silence. That's when something shifts. It's subtle, barely a whisper, a flicker in the dark. Not just the urge to dream, but to transform, to stop talking and become. That's the raw magic hidden in the early hours of 3 a.m. Not polished, not pretty, and certainly not romanticized. It's not about chasing hashtags or chasing validation. It's about staring down the reflection you've avoided all day. The one that doesn't flinch, doesn't flatter, and doesn't lie. In that moment, stripped of distractions, you meet the unfiltered version of yourself, the real one. And what you see might not be beautiful yet, but it's real. That's the beginning of everything. At this hour, all the personas you've worn start to crack. The one that pretends you're okay. The one that hides behind, "I'm busy." The one that smiles so the world doesn't ask questions. They fall away like armor rusted from years of silent battles. You're left with something terrifying, honesty. Because the truth doesn't show up when you're surrounded by noise. It arrives when the world stops spinning, and you're left alone with the choices you've made. That truth might sting. It might tell you you've settled, that you've been surviving instead of living. But it also says this: it's not too late. And maybe, just maybe, silence isn't the monster you thought it was. Maybe it's the mentor you never had. Maybe it's like Zoro training in solitude, swinging his sword into the void not for applause, but because he must. Because greatness isn't built in front of an audience. It's carved in isolation, shaped by a relentless pursuit of better. Silence holds you accountable in ways that noise never could. It doesn't care about your excuses or your intentions. It only reflects your actions. And if you're still awake, still watching, still breathing in this moment, then perhaps silence isn't your enemy. It's your proving ground. That's why the greats train in silence. Because silence doesn't cheer. It doesn't validate. It tests. No spotlight, no soundtrack. Just you and the grind. It's in that space, when the world has forgotten your name, that you remember it. When no one is watching, that's when your discipline becomes sacred. When you choose pain over comfort, process over applause. When you stop being motivated and start being committed. Like Saitama, punching through repetition, through boredom, through solitude, until he became something unstoppable. That kind of transformation doesn't happen in the light. It's born in the shadows. And right now, at 3 a.m., you're standing in that sacred dark, deciding who you're going to be. Section 3. The Forge of the Unseen. When most people chase comfort like it's currency, you sit still with your discomfort like it's a teacher. While others scroll to numb the ache, you open your journal and bleed truth onto the page. You stretch the tightness in your body, not to feel better, but to become better. You train, not to post, not to perform, but to become the kind of person who no longer needs applause to stay committed. That's when the real shift begins. When you're no longer imprisoned by emotion, but empowered by awareness. When you realize the path isn't about hype or hype men. It's about self-command. And command begins in the quiet. You begin to understand a hard truth. Greatness doesn't knock. It whispers. And those who listen, who answer, who act without needing to be noticed, they're the ones who rise. You don't need permission to take control of your life. You don't need motivation to begin. You don't even need confidence to keep going. You just need to move, even if it's just one step, even if it's messy. Because the secret isn't in waiting for the right moment. It's in creating one. That's when the quiet hours become your weapon, and your solitude becomes your sanctuary. Look at the greats. Kobe Bryant, up before dawn, perfecting the same shot 1,000 times before the lights came on. He wasn't chasing applause. He was sharpening instinct. Miyamoto Musashi, meditating alone before battle, not for calm, but for control. David Goggins, running through the night, not to impress, but to outpace the voice of weakness inside. These weren't men born with superpowers. They forged them in silence, in repetition, in obscurity. They didn't need a crowd. They didn't need a camera. They needed the discipline to show up and the conviction to not stop. And that's the truth you find when the world is asleep. Solitude is your edge. In a culture obsessed with visibility, the most dangerous weapon is invisibility. The work no one sees. The sacrifice no one celebrates. The training you do in the dark when no one is watching. That's where your power is born. You're not here for status. You're here for strength. You're not chasing attention. You're chasing alignment. And if you're still awake at this hour, still breathing, still moving, then maybe you've already chosen. You're one of the rare few, the silent builders, the unseen warriors, the legends who don't need to be understood. Yet. Section 4. Turning restlessness into power. So what do you do when sleep won't come, when your thoughts scream louder than dreams, and the night wraps around you like a question you can't answer? You don't numb it. You don't hide behind your screen, pretending those endless scrolls will soothe the ache. You don't lie there waiting for morning to save you. You use the ache, that tension in your chest, that low-grade panic whispering, "You're behind." That's not your enemy. That's your ignition. It's not weakness, it's energy, just misdirected. So channel it. Grab your phone, not to distract, but to confront. Open your notes, and write one truth you've been avoiding. Not the polished version, not the Instagram caption. The truth, the one that tastes like blood in your mouth. I've been scared. I've been faking effort. I've been waiting for motivation that isn't coming. This is your first mental rep, and like any muscle, the mind only grows through resistance. Facing the truth is the entrance, but movement, that's the door. Don't wait for some cinematic montage. Just move, right now. 20 push-ups, a deep stretch. Breathe so deeply your ribs expand with defiance. It doesn't have to be intense. It just has to be done. Because movement is how you remind your brain, I am not stuck. I am not helpless. I move. It's what Tanjiro did in his darkest moments, when the weight of loss threatened to paralyze him. He moved. He breathed. And that breath became power. This is how you shift your state, not by thinking your way out of pain, but by moving your way through it. You're not waiting for your mind to believe. You're showing your body that belief is already here. Now that your blood is awake and your mind is clearing, it's time for the hardest part, the decision. One real, raw, irreversible decision. Because at 3 a.m., all the illusions fall away. No notifications, no timelines, no opinions, just clarity. In this rare window, you can see the truth you pretend not to know during the day. The toxic routine, the fake relationship, the dream you keep postponing. It's right in front of you now. So make the move, cut the rope, send the message, start the project, delete what doesn't serve you. It doesn't have to be dramatic. It just has to be real. Because one honest choice made in the darkness is worth more than 1,000 empty declarations made in the light. These aren't grand gestures. They're small revolutions. This is how change begins. Not with fireworks, but with fire. The fire you build inside yourself when no one else is watching. You don't need a plan right now. You need a pulse. You need movement. You need a decision. And if you're still here, reading this, breathing through the chaos, then you already know the truth. You're not just enduring the night, you're rewriting it. Section 5. The ritual of becoming. Every movement you make in that stillness isn't just a reaction to pain. It's a declaration, a ritual. Not the kind performed for others, but the kind that reprograms your soul. This is where you stop flinching from the dark and start forging yourself in it. Every breath you steady, every rep you push, every hard truth you write down. It's not just survival, it's initiation into who you're becoming, into a version of you that no longer needs permission, no longer waits to be saved. So the next time your eyes snap open in the dead of night, don't curse the hour. Honor it. That's not anxiety. That's your soul knocking. And you don't sleep through that. This isn't about demonizing rest. It's not about glamorizing insomnia. It's about waking up, not from sleep, but from your life on autopilot, from your comfort zone, from the lie that change only happens when you feel ready. You don't need the perfect plan. You don't need a fresh start on Monday. You just need this moment. So if you're awake right now, heart pounding, mind spinning, and soul whispering, there's more for you. Listen, that's not restlessness. That's readiness. The world may be asleep, but your future is awake, wide-eyed, and waiting. And it doesn't care how tired you are. It only cares that you move. Because those hours you suffer in silence, they're not wasted. They're invested. They're the hidden hours where greatness is grown, where your identity is carved out of discomfort, carved out of questions, carved out of choices that no one will ever see. That's where your edge is born, where your character is strengthened, where your legacy is written, line by line, habit by habit, rep by rep, just like Guts from Berserk, who bled in the dark long before anyone ever called him strong. Just like Ippo from Hajime no Ippo, who trained in silence until his fists finally spoke for him. That's what you're doing here. You're not falling apart. You're forging yourself. So the next time 3 a.m. finds you, don't scroll, don't hide, don't numb. Rise, sit in the quiet, write, move, breathe. This is your sanctuary, your dojo, your forge. This is the place where the weak version of you dies and the unshakable one begins to breathe. This is not about perfection. This is about becoming. This is the 3 a.m. mindset, the silent discipline, the lonely hours, the painful truths. And if you embrace it fully, if you keep showing up in the dark when no one's watching, you will become unstoppable.